shit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but it's not limited to, Guapito. What's poppin', baby? You saw the soccer game yesterday?
Is that what I was watching?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was a Super Bowl. It wasn't even competitive, man.
You had fun?
It was fun. It was, a lot different than MMA.
We were at a Super Bowl party, and, you didn't move out of your chair the whole time.
I was intrigued by all the home runs and all that stuff.
Speaking of home runs,
I didn't even know he was there.
it's baseball season, baby.
Dude, bro, get off it.
Come on. I can't wait.
Why?
Let's go.
Why?
Why what?
Why are you excited?
Why am I excited?
Yes.
Because I enjoy baseball. I know the Pirates are going to be bad. I know they're going to probably perform below my expectation because my expectation is always way too high, but I enjoy baseball. I like watching. I know that there's going to be a game on every day.
This is by far the least excited I've been for the Pirates in maybe since they traded Bond.
The whole Pirates fan base has capitulated to their because you always have the people, you would say me and to more extent probably my dad, who have this hope, who think that they're gonna win more games than they probably should. But now all of
this is weird.
Yeah. Now all of hey Landon. Now all of the Pirate fan base is just over it. They really are. They're so sick of the front office and.
Well, I mean, you guys did a really, really, really good job this off season.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you guys pay for each
I saw
negative war part?
I saw a stat that said one war point is worth $1 million in free agency dollars.
No, it's $8 million, isn't it?
No, the Pirates spent $8 million.
Okay,
and they got 1.3 war.
No, negative 1.3.
I don't think it was negative.
Well,
right,
either way, it doesn't really matter.
Garmin just said stuff.
Efro tagged me in a Twitter post, and it said the Pirates, I think, in the last 10 years, they haven't
signed a multi-year
free agent in 10 years.
Yeah, and the guy they did, I don't know who he was.
Liriano.
I thought that was Liriano, and then I looked and I was like, no, that's not him.
That was him on the cover.
It looked like a right-handed pitcher.
Asshole! The average cost of one war in baseball is $8 million. The Pirates have spent approximately $10 million this offseason and have accumulated negative 1.7 war of players.
Conrad, you just say things.
I know. I just say everything. You know?
Just say things, Conrad.
What's that? Right? Pink?
Hold on. My favorite part is Matt formulating his response.
Right. Would you like to retort?
I'll never get a chance to. He's too busy yelling, and Stimboy just walked in.
He should be yelling.
I was right. You tell me I just say fucking things and I'm word for word correct.
Right. You just cut Conrad down.
You were finally right. Congratulations.
You cut Conrad down.
I'm glad we did not bet any slaps on it. That one was your first opportunity to get me back. Another thing that you were clearly right on is we just witnessed the greatest halftime performance of all time yesterday in Kendrick Lamar.
It's true.
I feel like we really need Sam in that seat to speak for that.
I mean, I think there's a lot of. I think Sam would be a great addition to this podcast.
I do too. We need Sam here. We need Sam Laskowitz Bagels here.
It's a good thing I don't work off of tips.
Let's not out anybody. You caused quite the stir on Twitter with your Kendrick take.
I'm more just annoyed about everybody saying this is the worst halftime performance ever when it's so much deeper than what people just see to the eye.
So I think everything that you're saying is exactly why people hate Kendrick.
Sure, whatever.
It's not that deep, bro.
Whatever, you can say that.
Yes, it's deeper than...
Go look at what... All right, I just sent something in the chat. It's not for today because it's deep. It's a long thing. And
The
like,
rich history of Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
no, it's just like everything was kind of broken down to like why it was like that, like why people were.
But that's my point, is that if you have a working brain, you don't need somebody to interpret the halftime show for you. You can see its linear progression from start to finish. You can listen to, even if you're only catching like 1/10 of the lyrics, you can hear the messaging, you can hear the metaphors, and like nobody's questioning Kendrick's lyricism. He's top of the top. It's this like undertone of like, oh well, if you don't understand Kendrick, you're obviously a midwit. And that's not the case. Like, look, I think the performance was great. I love Kendrick. I think his lyrics are second to none. I think his imagery and the way he tells stories is one of the best that is out there right now. Do I think that like he belongs on a halftime show at the Super Bowl? Talent-wise, sure, but he doesn't speak to the general audience. That's the problem.
What's the general audience? Bunch of white people. Aerosmith doesn't speak to the black people. Like,
No, you're right.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Do not disparage my NSYNC Aerosmith halftime show.
I'm
It's
sorry,
the
Brian.
best.
I'm so
It will
sorry,
always be
Brian.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm sorry. I watched it
Nelly
today.
was in it.
Brian, and so is Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige,
And I
right?
watched it
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
I turned it off.
Oh, come on.
Like, I
Man.
just turned it off.
Yeah, but that's
I
not,
watched.
that's not fair. It's 23 years removed.
Right.
Of course, you're not as into Nelly and Britney Spears right
Oh no,
now.
I love Nelly. Nelly's my number.
Did
probably
you get
my
to the
number,
Britney Spears part?
The
See?
the point I'm trying to make is that
I kind of like those jeans.
I'm kind of playing both sides of the fence here. I agree. I thought the performance was fucking amazing. Like, I think for me personally, it's a top 5. But I also recognize that I do not represent the average consumer here, and that for the majority of people, they're probably watching the Puppy Bowl. However, that was me when Beyonce was on, and I wasn't an asshole going to Twitter going, Beyonce just put on the worst halftime show of all time.
And that was kind of my
It's
thing.
like, yeah, it wasn't for me, man.
And that
I was
more-
watching the Puppy Bowl.
That was more what set me off. Like,
Right, but
you know,
but then you carry it forward to this whole like, oh, you just don't get it. It's for the like. I do
No, but
agree
it
with
is
you.
for the culture.
I
That's
do
what
agree
it
with you
is.
that it's for the culture.
It is.
I disagree with you that his messaging is so sophisticated.
All right, good.
That 80% of the audience doesn't understand.
I mean, it's something that you actually have to like watch back probably to realize. Like, and you probably don't even realize then. Like, we'll talk about this another day because like.
Conrad's making it seem like he's this like elitist music enjoyer.
No, I'm not.
Well, no,
and that's my
it's-
fucking point.
But you're saying
it's-
you gotta like watch it again. You know, like you gotta keep going
No.
back to it.
It's like
No,
you
if
heard
you-
the songs for the first time yesterday. I've heard all of
no,
those
no,
songs.
no.
They're all on my playlist. Like, I've heard the lyrics. I understand the messages.
They're not.
Five
That's not
Leavenworth.
definitely not the first time I've heard all those songs.
Okay, so like my point is like I don't need an interpreter. I don't need someone
And
like
it's not about the lyric. Like
I get
every-
I get the sequence of
the
events. I
performance.
understand. Yes, I agree with
everything.
you.
Like everybody's saying, like, it was the worst ever. Blah blah blah. Like the performance wise, and it just there was so much meaning to it.
Oh, I don't think that they were judging it based off performance wise. I think they're a bunch of old white
no,
honkies.
that's where you're wrong. A lot of people are judging it off performance, and like they just don't understand. Like there's a lot of messaging in that performance, like a lot. Like not everything was fucking a message.
When you say whatever, I'm not going to argue semantics.
I
with
can't.
you.
Yeah,
This is
we
silly.
can't argue it. Like we literally can't.
Well,
Until
because like I'm agreeing with you and you're arguing with me.
no, I'm not.
Like most people that are condemning the halftime show are basically saying like this isn't Creedence Clearwater. This isn't pop culture.
What's Creedence Clearwater?
Okay. This doesn't represent pop culture. This isn't my version of entertainment. This isn't the songs that I hear on the radio. Like they're not saying like, oh, he didn't dance enough. Like
They
yes,
are though.
of course that's a criticism they're pointing to, but like if it was Lil Wayne and he stood still for 15 minutes and performed his top 15 hits, no one would have been like Lil Wayne was a fucking robot up there. Everybody would have loved it because Lil Wayne is
I don't know if that's true.
popular. He's popular.
I don't know
He's
if
been
that's
around
true.
for 25 years. Like it was a big miss by the NFL to not give Lil Wayne his stage.
I will agree with
at
that.
his hometown.
I agree
the
with
way
that
they did with Dre
1000%.
and Snoop for the LA Super Bowl. Like if you're gonna do something for the culture, you also don't want to alienate the other side.
But yeah, I mean, whatever.
And I'm saying all this with a grain of salt. Like,
No, I
I
know.
thought the Kendrick performance was literally one of the best I've seen.
well aware.
And people are going to compare it to The Weeknd, which was easily one of the worst.
That's the funny thing. I
Right.
didn't even write it, but like in my opinion, The Weeknd was probably worse than fucking Aerosmith.
Well,
And
yeah.
I listened to The Weeknd all day, every
Worse
day.
than
I think I know-
Aerosmith. You're saying the worst Super Bowl halftime performance of all time was slightly worse than the best Super Bowl performance of all time.
Right.
Who was the best?
Aerosmith's like it's not up for debate. Nobody's like, the only debate is like whether Michael Jackson was a bigger hit in '82.
This
But,
one
like,
is so
93?
weird. What's going
well,
on
that's
here?
the thing is like that's why people are being so critical is because if you're there, if you're at the Super Bowl while all this is going on, that is awful. You know, you're just getting a bird's eye view of like some like music video being shot. And the Kendrick one was a little bit the same. Like the camera angles were very necessary. Like everything they were doing for the TV was very important to the performance. If you're in New Orleans, you're just seeing this like giant grid and a sea of people like moving back and forth.
Yeah, and like clothes because you could.
It's not-
It wasn't like
Right.
individuated.
It's not like stage presence. Like, you know, this is tacky as fuck, but like this hits.
Yeah.
Teenagers, moms, dads, like it hits. Tortoises, you know?
This is a
Hits for
banger,
some.
and I know bangers.
Hits for some. I agree.
Yeah, like you if you're the Super Bowl, you generally want to lean into top 40. If they had gotten Morgan Wallen, everybody would be fucking happy.
What do you mean top 40?
Like top 40 hits. You know, the
Don't make me-
Billboard charts.
Who the hell is Morgan Wallen?
Billboard.
Stop. That's like me saying who the hell is Taylor Swift?
It is
More,
Is it country?
yeah.
Yeah, but he's,
That's why I don't know.
There's no such thing as country anymore.
True.
It's just pop.
The Little Dirk has country songs.
It kind of blurred. The lines are blurred between country and pop.
Post Malone put out a
Right.
country album.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Post Malone put out a country album.
Yeah, country used to be like a separate thing. Now it's like it's just
When
top
Taylor
40
went to
and-
mainstream, country ceased to exist.
Yeah.
we were saying top 40 hits, but like you realize he's been on number one 3 times.
Yeah, and that's why he won a Grammy for Not Like Us. But like, you know, that was just that was kind of one of those things where it caught what I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but it caught the mainstream eye because it's a really fucking good song. It's super catchy, but it's not because of the reasons why the song was made. The lyrics aren't what hit. People don't even know. Most people probably don't even know that he's making fun of their favorite artist, Drake. You know, it's
Right.
like it's just like really poppy and catchy, and the fact that he wrote it in 8 hours is fucking insane.
The irony is, if it was Drake out there, people would have liked it a lot
They
more.
would have loved it.
Yeah.
They would have loved it. And it's like, I love Drake too, but like, you
Me
know,
too.
the guy's wonky. He deserves to get bodied by Kendrick. Like,
Really
you know,
does.
you're talking about more of the subculture. Which is great. If you're a hip hop lover, this was one of the best things you've ever seen. But for everybody else, it's not great. And that's why when I say like, if you had Morgan Wallen out there, you don't have to like country to like Morgan Wallen.
He just makes good music.
You hit more of the spectrum. You know, you put Eminem out there, you don't have to like rap to like Eminem. At some
Right.
point, you're just going to fall into it.
Has he
Right.
performed for halftime show?
He was a part of the Dre. Snoop, LA,
50 Cent.
yeah, 50 Cent. Yeah,
How long
that
was
was
this?
Kendrick.
Was a few years ago.
2022, 2021.
Was in the
2022,
Was this when the
2022.
Rams won?
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Rams over the Bengals. Burrow's only shot.
Right.
I
And he
love that
picked-
we spent more time on that than we will the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl was dumb. It was just like blowout. Like
I mean, it was the greatest thing ever.
it was great. I mean, it was the greatest thing ever to just watch
Greatest
the
thing
Chiefs
ever.
get destroyed because
so good.
obviously that's what the majority of the country wanted to see happen, and it did happen. But like, you just want to see a close competitive game in
you
the
don't
Super Bowl.
understand how
man.
much I hate the Eagles.
Here's a couple questions I would pose to you. First of all, if I had told you that Saquon would rush for under 60 yards, have zero touchdowns,
You'd be like, they
and-
got killed.
and Jalen Hurts throws for under 250 with 1 interception, 1 passing touchdown, and a tush push, what do you think the final score of that game would have been?
It would have been like 21-10.
Do you think it would? Do you think it would have hit the? Do you think it would have hit the under or the over?
Lower.
Higher or the lower?
Lower.
Lower.
The lower for sure, right? And the Eagles lose by how many scores?
Yeah, at least
2, 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was thinking about it afterwards. Like, obviously Jalen's gonna get the MVP because he's the quarterback of the winning team.
Did he get the MVP?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the quarterback of the winning team. He led the game in rush yards at 75.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
what happened was absurd.
Like, you know, he's going to get the MVP. He had the most production. He had 2 touchdowns, a turnover, whatever. But like at the end of the day, they put up 40 fucking points, and most of it was off the defense's back.
Honestly, they should have literally had the whole fucking defense come up there and get the trophy.
Get the MVP.
The whole
Wholeheartedly
defense.
agree.
It's not even fucking close.
Completely agree. They had 3 sacks on 3 straight dropbacks.
Yeah,
like that is a sequence of events that does not happen in a game, let alone a Super Bowl, with Mahomes as the other quarterback.
Patrick did not look like a Super Bowl quarterback.
He was getting
until it was the fourth quarter.
He had no line
he was
blocking
getting
for him. So
absolutely blown.
As soon as
up.
he dropped back, he had 3 guys in his face. What was he going to do?
He led the Chiefs in rushing at 25 yards.
What happened? Like their line got
was
hurt.
nowhere to be found.
No, they just got fucking wrecked.
I mean, the Chiefs' defense is, the Eagles' defense is very good.
Yeah.
Their interior line. You want to know how many times they blitzed in the game?
0, right? It was
0.
Yeah, it was 0.
0 times.
They didn't blitz at all.
0.
I remember hearing that.
Insane. Absolutely insane statistic right there.
Going into like the third quarter, I think, I'm sorry, it was like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. The Chiefs had 0. It was either 1 or 0 plays in Eagles territory.
Yeah. Oh
Fucking
yeah. I don't think they
insanity.
got a first down until like the end of the second quarter.
The Eagles had more points than the Chiefs had yards at halftime.
That's insane.
I wonder how many like sacks and who had the most sacks on the Eagles. I think it was Jalen Carter.
I mean, it would make sense.
I'm not sure, but like he should have probably got MVP in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough. The only defensive MVP that sticks out in my brain that I can remember in the last 30 years was fucking Brown for the Cowboys.
Larry Brown.
Larry Brown, yeah. What an insane thing. This guy's like a C+ safety, or maybe he was a slot corner. I can't remember. Anyway, he picks Neil O'Donnell off at the end of the fucking game for a pick 6. They end up going on to win.
He had two picks.
He did have 2 picks, yeah. One, I think, was a pick 6. Goes on to win the game, obviously. Gets MVP of the Super Bowl. Goes and signs like a multi-year deal with the Raiders for infinite money.
I don't even remember.
And is never heard of again.
Yeah. Good for him. Get that bag.
Yeah, him and Neil, they were fucking in on it, man. I'm telling you. That was when I knew the NFL was rigged. 13 years old.
Yep.
Spoiled my birthday party.
Yeah, it did.
I was positive.
Oh, it wasn't even him. It was Josh Sweat had 2.5 sacks. Milton Williams had 2 sacks. Like
he didn't do anything here. He stood there. The ball was thrown to Larry Brown.
Right.
God damn it, man.
What was it?
This was heartbreak, Landon. You have no idea. It was my 13th birthday.
It was
12th birthday. 1994?
95.
95 Super Bowl, 94
No, it was
season.
96 season. 96 year, 95 season.
Okay, so yeah, I was turning 14 then.
14, yeah.
So my 14th birthday, Super Bowl falls on my birthday.
Happy Super Bowl birthday.
Steelers make the Super Bowl versus the Cowboys, the hated Cowboys. We go in, we're looking fucking good, man. We're looking good. Last possession of the game, down 1 score. Neil's going to take us to the promise. Imagine uttering those words. Neil O'Donnell is going to take us to the promised land. Drops back, throws the ball to the only man who's open, Larry fucking Brown on the Cowboys. It wasn't even like it was 4th and 13 and he had the panic throw. It was just like, 2nd and 6. Fucking misses an out route. It's just over. Oh,
and
man.
then that's when your dreams died.
It was over. My granddad told me the whole time. He was just squashing my dreams from the kickoff on. Rod Woodson came back from an ACL tear. Listen to this. This is fucking superhero shit. Guy tears his ACL week 1. Plays in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Rod Wilson was a goddamn gangster.
That's insane.
He was a goddamn gangster.
Because it's supposed to take like a couple years to recover from this.
A normal person like you or I, it would be 1 year before you would be back to sport.
Yeah, you're hoping to get back like the next season.
That was back in the day. They did say Aaron Rodgers could have came back in the playoffs if he was.
These are not the same injuries.
Didn't he tear his ACL?
No,
his Achilles.
Oh, sorry.
So it's like 1 year for a normal human. It's like 1 year for a normal human. For like an elite athlete, generally timeline you're talking like 7 to 8 months to return to sport. Rod Woodson did it in 19 weeks.
What was his injury, Matt?
Torn ACL. Just insane.
Is it just like
he got fucking cooked in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But he went out there.
He went out there. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, Deion Sanders was on the Cowboys at the time.
He was.
and they lined him up against Rod because he played both ways sometimes. And I think he just fucking cooked his ass.
I mean, Deion Sanders cooked everyone.
On a streak.
Yeah.
Everyone he cooked.
So is a lot of the recovery just like stretching and PT stuff?
I mean, from my own personal experience, like, yes, it's
how does he do that?
It's a lot of mobility as you're like, and stability training, and then obviously you're like building up muscle and stuff like that. For me personally, I couldn't get over the mental hurdle of knowing that I had a torn. Like, you're so ginger about your movements. I couldn't make a basketball layup. Like, I couldn't even attempt one for a year and a half after post surgery. I couldn't get over the mental block.
Because like if it just like tore, just
I could do it
stupid.
like if nobody was around, but like in game, I'm saying, like if we were playing in a game, I was afraid to go up for a layup because I was afraid of contact.
You like come back down the wrong way and tear it again.
In my mind, it's like, you know, a sprained ankle, similar to like a sprained ankle, where like
re-injuring it.
And the thing is like you'll go through instances where like you're positive you retore it.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll have like a little buckle, or like you'll just move the wrong way and you'll hear like a bit of a pop, and you're just like pause, and then like eventually you realize like no, like it's a lot more durable than that. Most times like the repair is stronger than, or at least as strong as your original. But yeah, man, what a fucking
feel
superhero.
that way.
No, in real time you're just like positive. Because the other thing is like when you get out of surgery, they tell you that there's like this period of time where it's really susceptible to re-tear. So you have to be super cautious. Like even in your PT, you're not doing any lateral moves or anything like that for like maybe I think like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that.
Like you're just like not really supposed to move very much.
Just not laterally, because that's what can shear it. Like wrong stepping laterally. But the thing is like when you're told like, oh, in this window of time, like you're really susceptible to re-tearing it because the sutures haven't healed or whatever the case may be, that sticks with you. And then all of a sudden, like a year later, you're like, fuck, man, like I'm really susceptible to re-tearing this.
Up,
yeah. But like, you know, it's totally healed and you're fine. Yeah, snooze fest of a Super Bowl. I am coming to realize though, like
I thought it was really fun to watch. Like,
did you?
Yeah, I mean, people wanted to see this day happen, right? People, I mean, I'm sure to a degree, Eagles Bills would have been like a great Super Bowl as well, like for different reasons. But seeing the Chiefs go back, it's like, okay, here they are again. Like we're pretty sure they're not very good or like as good as they used to be.
Right.
To just get ravaged like that.
It's so obvious in hindsight, right? Isn't it just so obvious? It's just like the Chiefs, you said they were just not as good as they've been in the past. They won all these games where it was one score games and just like something always happened right at the end of the game for them to like win it. They could have easily had, 3 or 4 or 5 more losses. Same thing that like happened in the playoffs too. They kind of just found a way to make it there. And then you look at the Eagles, who were just crushing. They were just, since like week 4 on, they were just really, really good. Saquon out of his mind. And it, like in hindsight, it's just like, yeah, this is exactly what should have happened.
How much?
Right?
How much of that though is like?
Yeah, they were not. They were underdogs.
Yeah, but like, how much of that is just us creating a narrative?
It could be
to kind of fill in the blank, right? Because like, think about the Eagles last year,
right?
And their complete and utter collapse, and now they're the best team in football this year,
right?
Wait, so what happened with the Eagles last year?
Well, yeah, that's true. That was a big addition.
It's not even a question. It's fucking Saquon.
I did forget about the addition.
Yes.
Of
Good
Saquon,
job,
but
fucking John Barry. Great job.
Yeah.
Daddy fucking died. Great fucking job.
What happened to the Eagles last year?
They started off, I think, 9-0, and then lost their last 6. Or something along those lines.
Something along
or
those
6 of their last 8, something like that. They either limped into the playoffs or they just missed. I think they limped into the playoffs and they lost their first.
They won their division though, I think still.
Yeah, but I think they ended up losing.
They
lost first round, I think. Yeah. And kind of similar thing with KC. It's like we create this narrative of like, oh, they're having a real down year when they went 15-1.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it was obvious that they're not as good as teams in the past, just from the eye test.
But that's what I'm saying is like how much of that is just like results based, because like think back to 3 years ago when he lost to Brady. Like in my mind, that Chiefs team was really fucking good, and we knew that they were gonna. That was the start of a dynasty. They already won one Super Bowl versus San Fran. They looked like they were going to continue and then they get blown out by the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I imagine the talking points back then were, oh, Burrow is going to be a legit threat to Mahomes now moving forward in the AFC, and they're going to contend against one another. And Allen is, and we're just going to see a lot of parity in the AFC, and then they just go rattle off the next 3 Super Bowls.
Right.
So it's like, I think it's easy to create narratives and spin things, and this is why I get so fired up about the Fire Tomlin stuff, because like you're judging people based off of a sample that's literally close to nil.
Yeah.
And in this instance, we're looking at one exact game where the script went against KC from the jump.
There was a call that they made on a KC defensive back, which seemed kind of soft. And ever since then, it was just fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah. It's like certain small things can change momentum in a way. Not maybe momentum isn't the right word, because like we start to again give that narrative that like
the momentum
it impacts it. But like the game script can just change in a certain way. Like KC goes 3 and out, Philly scores.
Yeah, listen, if you run this game back a million times, the average score is not going to be 40 to fucking.
It'll probably.
They're not going to win by 3 scores.
I think the point and a half is probably pretty
probably
fair.
I would
see. I maybe, but I think it would definitely be flipped the other way. Like I think if you ran it a million times, it would be clear that the Eagles were the favorite team and not the Chiefs. But just because they are the Chiefs, because they is Mahomes, and because of everything surrounding it, is why they were the underdogs. And maybe the books just know that people are not going to like after last year. They're like, people aren't going to bet against Mahomes. They're just not.
The point and a half is just an indication, though, of like
how close it was.
Yeah, it's just an indication of like what like if they ran this 100 times and you added up all of the points from both sides,
I think
it's going to be a point and a half disparity.
I disagree. I think you would see where like the Eagles are like 4 or 5 point favorites.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
you think that on average, if they ran this out, that the Eagles would win by 4.5 to 5 points?
Yes.
See, I think that's just being reactionary to the result of the game.
I mean, you could say that, but like that
maybe, but
overall,
I just think that.
But that's why I think it's being reactionary.
I don't think it's being reactionary. I think it's just you're like I think everybody was blinded by actually how good the Eagles really are, and the Chiefs are not as good as everybody.
Hold on, but like the Bills were like a great team and Kansas beat them.
Yeah.
And we also saw the Eagles beat Washington by 35.
Right. Because the Eagles are a better team than the Chiefs, or a better team than the Bills too. Like the Eagles are a very complete, solid team from top to bottom. Where like you could look at the Chiefs, and you could definitely pick apart like a lot of
the Bills are a little bit weak in their secondary for sure.
Yeah.
They could definitely use a second wideout as far as like things that they'd look to plug it, but. You say that about the Chiefs, but the Chiefs have like one of the best defenses in the NFL. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. They're they have an elite tight end, and they're solid at wideout.
I mean,
they play 8 games.
They play 6 games against the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. Like
2 of those 3 teams were playoff teams. Like
barely.
Barely. What are you talking about? The Broncos and the Chargers won like a combined 21 games.
Good football teams. You like the Chargers.
Those are good teams.
The Chargers.
Like,
don't make it sound like it's the AFC South.
They did almost lose to the Raiders in that weird, sketchy game.
Sure.
The Chiefs almost lost.
You're not sure what?
AFC South is Jacksonville,
those 2
Falcons.
Teams, those 2 teams, I think, have more wins than the entire AFC South minus Houston.
Houston Falcons.
No, Falcons are in the
NFC South.
It's Houston,
Jacksonville, Indianapolis,
and it's how bad it is.
And the other team that sucks.
Yeah.
Tennessee. You have like three of those 4 teams are like top 5 draft picks. Top 10 draft picks.
That's definitely the worst.
I just think everybody really wanted to see the Chiefs lose like that. Like people were waiting for belt to ass. They were waiting for that.
And everybody wants the narrative to be that the Chiefs are falling off their pedestal and that the Eagles are obviously
right. I think Goodell saw which way the winds were turning. He said, "You know what? Let's turn the switch back to we can't have the Chiefs win. The country is too pissed off about it. We got to get the country back on our side. Let's just have the Eagles."
Let me end it with this. I'm joking. No shit. You're joking with a conspiracy theory? Shocker.
People will believe that. Okay. Think the whole thing is rigged.
Let me end it with this question.
There you go.
You say that the Eagles are better than the Chiefs. Do you think it's more probable that the Eagles have a dynasty moving forward or the Chiefs?
Oh,
I couldn't answer that because I don't know how they're set up. Their
Contracts.
franchise is set up with the people that they have moving forward. I'm talking about
That's
this.
such a political fucking answer.
That's not a political answer because, like, what are you trying to? What are you trying to say?
Neither team is going to change that.
Whatever you're trying to get out of me, it has nothing to do with what I just said.
Hurts and Saquon aren't leaving.
I'm talking about a single game and a single.
Hurts, Saquon, and AJ Brown are not going anywhere. Mahomes, Kelsey, and Pacheco aren't going anywhere. Like, they're going to have the same core.
Kelsey's on the way
Kelsey's
out.
like, yeah, Kelsey's
Is it last year or
next
next year?
Okay, so he'll retire within the next 2 years. But the point is,
how much longer is Reed going to coach? Like,
oh my God,
I think
they're going to lose their best defensive coordinator.
all right, let me help you out. The answer is the Chiefs are more likely to have a dynasty moving forward, and I don't think it's
Let me
close.
help you out.
know.
Well, okay, because you're the know all of the.
No, I'm just not gonna be a pussy
Don't
and
worry.
fucking take some political stance of like, oh, I don't know what the future holds. It's like, no shit. But like, we can clearly project that this team isn't falling off the pedestal.
Right.
They're gonna be there year in and year out, and Philly might win 6 games next year.
Don't worry, Brian.
What are you talking about? I'll take the over.
Brian, don't worry, because you know why? Because the Pirates played $1 million per war. Okay.
Right.
What does that mean?
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
Okay,
I feel like when it comes to the Eagles, though,
then
like,
take that stance. Have a fucking opinion.
I feel like
wrong.
the Chiefs could always, it's always a toss up in like AFC Championship. Like, I feel like the Eagles don't really have much competition for a while.
Which is why it would be very easy. That's why when I pose that question, if you believe it all in the Eagles, the clear answer should be the Eagles. And the fact that you're wavering means that you don't believe that at all.
Wrong. You're creating a narrative.
I'm a Brian.
Like, yeah,
It's like
what
the
are we
NFC
talking about?
the
I'm
NFC
talking
is
about.
not-
I'm talking about literally talking about this season, a specific one-off game, and now you're talking about 10 years into the future.
10
You're
years?
talking about the
From
next
now-
5 years.
Well, you're talking about dynasties.
3 years?
Dynasties aren't 3 years.
Turtle,
Dynasties are through
Do
like
you
a
think the
10-year
Eagles?
span.
Do you think the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl again next year?
I mean, I'd say they're on the hands-on favorite.
So, it sounds like the start of
Wow.
a dynasty to me.
Shocker. They're the odds-on favorite after winning the Super Bowl.
He asked me if they think they're going to the Super Bowl. Yes.
I feel like
you
they
said-
If you said name one team you think is going to make the Super Bowl in the NFC, I would say the Eagles.
Yeah,
What do you want me to
you
say?
would have said the Niners last year.
Maybe, maybe not.
It just feels like the whole dynasty thing. Like, does going to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl count as dynasty?
I think like
I'm just saying
it's abundantly clear that Kansas City's in the midst of a
Yeah.
dynasty.
Yeah, I
They've
don't-
been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls.
I think this
But
is the end of their dynasty.
What happened yesterday?
There,
I don't-
thank you. You took a fucking stance.
This is the end of their dynasty.
and you're wrong, but like that's great that you were willing to put yourself out there.
It's now time for
I
Joe
just don't
Burrows and the
understand-
Cincinnati Bengals.
I just don't understand
You
what.
fucking cunt.
I just don't understand what happened yesterday. What does that have to do with 5 years from now?
Because like
Like
you're
Saquon
saying
and
that if
Hurts
they
aren't moving.
right, and not much is going to change between these two teams, and you're basically saying like if they ran this back 100 times, the Eagles would win by a larger margin of victory than the books had them predicted, and I just don't believe that to be true. I think the Chiefs are still the team to beat. I think that they're in a much tougher conference. I think year in and year out we're going to see them showing up.
But that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, but it's
That's a
backed by
bad one.
the past 7 years.
Did you know that that past performance is not indicative of future? Past results is not indicative of
That is
future
not true
performance?
It's over.
in dependent circumstances.
It's
In this instance, it's
over.
dependent upon
History
the
has
players.
repeated itself with the
Kansas
Chiefs.
City
Right.
is out.
Look, man, as a Steelers fan and somebody who wants to see Buffalo win a championship at some point before all the fans are dead, I hope you're right. I just don't think you're right. Like, I think Mahomes is a generational talent.
I agree.
Reed isn't going anywhere, and their ability to keep filling. I mean, that. Imagine year 6 or 7 of Brady's run being like, they're done, bro.
Right. That's
Yeah, but
They're
who's saying
fucking
they're
done.
done? Nobody said they're done.
Conrad just said they're done.
Okay, I'm not saying they're done.
over for 'em.
Obviously, I think Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
It's over for
very
'em.
clear. Like, yes, I don't
Right,
think
and
they're
I
done.
don't believe
Bo
that.
Nix and the fucking Broncos
I just
taking
think-
division next
Oh,
year.
you mean the team that you just
Said
qualified as they get to play? They have the privilege of playing the
Time out.
Broncos twice a year.
Let's think about this.
Here we go.
Sean Payton, new coach. Bo Nix, rookie quarterback. Yes, they have the privilege of fucking playing the
They
Broncos
have the
twice a
privilege
year.
of playing a 10-win team.
Yes, they are going to be very good, is my point, though.
And then they're going to have the privilege of playing them
I
in
don't
very
think you have a
important
point.
games.
Past performances are not vindicative of the fucking future.
Indicative.
Or whatever the fuck.
Past results are not indicative of future performance.
There you go. Tell them, Brian.
That simply does not apply to these types of scenarios.
To data
That
points.
applies to
Chiefs are out, man.
that applies to flipping a coin.
It
Chiefs are
applies
out.
to gamblers'
Independent
fallacy.
outcomes
Chiefs are out, man.
is what it applies to.
But another football thing moving on. Lamar did not win MVP.
Yeah.
What do you guys think
Who
about
won?
that?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen took it.
I feel like these things shouldn't be voted on. I think that like the stats should just speak. It's really insane.
Well, it's kind of hard because actually,
Is it? Because Lamar beat him in 100% of the categories.
I do, but I know that. But I think that Josh is
I believe
more,
that, but I don't believe that.
I think Josh is a bigger and most valuable player to his team.
No, that's such a cop. I
Why?
hate people who fucking do that. Like the clear definition of the term is like, who is the most valuable player to their team? It's like, oh, well, fucking
Who has a
Danny
better-
Dimes was the most valuable person on the Giants, and he's not even suiting up for
Was
them
he the most
anymore.
valuable?
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. He just failed.
No, he wasn't. I think that I don't know. I think
You
Josh
think
Allen had
the
a
Ravens are where they are with someone other than Lamar? If they downgraded from Lamar,
No way.
downgraded from Lamar.
What are you talking
Why-
about?
Wait,
What is this Eva's question?
He's just
because he's saying that Josh Allen is the most valuable person to his specific team, therefore he deserves the MVP.
That's not what he's saying.
What did he say?
He's saying that like he's more valuable to his team than somebody else is to their team.
That's literally what I just said.
No, he didn't.
You
Landon,
said-
please.
No, what did you? Like, go ahead, say it.
It's the same
Right.
thing. It's the
No, he's
not.
saying
It's
that
slightly different.
You just said
The
that.
difference is your attitude.
Hold on.
Right.
Let one person
Right.
talk at a time.
You can't
company.
because
Right.
the two people who refuse to listen are going to keep
You said
shouting.
that Josh Allen is the most valuable person to his team. That's what you said. He
So
said.
if you swap Lamar and Josh Allen, you think Lamar deserves the MVP then? Or you think Josh Allen still deserves it?
you would have to run it for like a million times.
it's like you guys just want to argue for the sake of it instead of just like,
Oh my God!
thinking with like some
Look
good
in the
faith.
fucking mirror.
No, like Landon understands exactly what I'm saying. Like it's such a cop
about
out.
Landon now?
Great.
It's such a
the guy
cop
that
out to
doesn't watch
say.
football or anything about sports understands what you're saying.
What does that
Wonderful.
have to do?
It doesn't have to do anything with the sentences of the most valuable player to their team.
Right.
Like if you switch Lamar and Allen, they would both just be really good quarterbacks, and you'd still probably like give it to Lamar based off stats.
You just look at stats, right? Like you would just look at stats. What the fuck did Josh Allen do that Lamar didn't?
Nothing. Lamar beat him in stats.
Right. And the voting was done at the end of the season, so the playoff game doesn't even matter. There literally is zero cause other than this guy's winning too much. He's won the MVP too many times, so let's give it to this guy. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because you want to know who won the All-Pro for quarterback? Lamar.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. That makes absolutely no sense. The person who wins MVP should always be the All-Pro. How could there ever be a discrepancy here?
Actually, going back to what you think I said,
Here we go.
That's what that would mean. Like, yes, he's all pro because he had the best stats. But Josh Allen was the most valuable person to his team to get them where they were.
I just said that.
No, but I just said I was going to change that. What are you talking about? I literally qualified it.
I can't breathe.
I qualified it and said, well, back to what you had said.
Restate that.
No.
So Brian can hear you really loudly.
I'm not telling you shit.
Go ahead. You can watch it back on the tape.
The stonewalling has commenced.
So what you're saying is the Bills aren't the Bills without Josh Allen.
The Bills aren't the Bills without Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
I mean, what type of fucking question is that?
I know.
Well, I would just counter and say the Ravens probably aren't the Ravens without Lamar.
And I would fucking disagree with you. They have Derrick Henry. Just run for 220 all the
but
time.
Derrick Henry was on the Titans and did nothing.
Right. Right.
He did nothing. Brought his teams to the playoffs every year.
What are you talking about? The Titans won 5 games his last season there.
Is that
Like-
true?
With no quarterback. Literally zero. Zero.
Oh my God.
What?
You're making the same point he's making.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No,
You just
because
don't
you have
look-
anybody
look-
halfway fucking decent.
Look, you just don't like him right now, so you don't want to agree with him, and I understand that. I've been there.
No,
I've been there.
No, that's not it. You know what? Hold on.
This is
God,
such
the
an
Bills-
exercise in how I get gaslit.
The Bills aren't the Bills without Josh Allen. The Ravens aren't the Ravens without Lamar. I don't believe you.
He literally goes, yes, they are. They have Derrick Henry. It's like, okay, well, he was on the Titans and they
Brian,
sucked. Yeah, well, they didn't have a quarterback.
Join us,
It's like,
Brian. You got to join us
okay.
on that one. Come on, Brian.
That's a conversation between you guys. I'm not talking. That has nothing to do with
No,
me.
you sure you don't want to circle back?
I'm not on anybody's team here. I'm on the Tortoises team.
Yeah,
okay?
you don't want
TT.
to. You don't want to circle
Team
back
Tortoise, baby.
and disagree with his
2020.
sentiment that Josh Allen was the most valuable person to his
The
team.
difference between he and I is I'm not going to look up stats to try to find a point here.
Right, because he doesn't know what he's saying. That's the thing. Because if you're going to use stats, then again,
Lamar.
it's Lamar. It's blatantly Lamar. There's zero concept as to how you can argue against Lamar.
You know what? I just don't think you understand it, Conrad. I think
It's
you look
okay.
deeper.
The only thing we can say, and it's fine for this to be the case, is Lamar's won the MVP too many fucking times.
He won it once, right?
Twice. He won it last year.
That's the first time.
No, he won
Really?
it 2
Was
years
it back
ago.
to back? He won
No,
back
no,
to back.
he won it. Somebody else got it. Maybe Mahomes. I'm not sure. And then Lamar again last year.
You know, it's so
it might have been Burrow.
Burrow, yeah, that's-
Burrow of the year? No. I don't know.
It's so funny because Lamar.
But he's like, he should have won it every year.
Lamar is so good. He's so good, but in my mind, he's not that good.
Yeah, because he can't beat the Steelers.
Right, because every time he plays the Steelers, he
He's
doesn't have a
ass.
good game, and, and
Yeah,
that's
he's won
like
it
what I
twice.
know of him.
Here-
I know he's like one of
Here's
the
an
best
easy thing
quarterbacks,
for
but-
you. Of the 2 years that he won the MVP award, compared to this year's stats, which year do you think he had the best stats?
This year.
Not even close.
No, I know.
Not
Okay.
even
But
close.
Lamar won in
I'm not arguing
2019.
that. I'm not even arguing that he should not be the MVP.
Oh, 2019.
It was
then last year.
2019, 2020 was Aaron Rodgers, 2021 Aaron
That's right,
Rodgers,
that's right.
2022 Mahomes, 23 Lamar, Josh Allen.
That's right. I
Aaron
forgot.
Rodgers back to back.
Yeah. And
He crushed.
yeah, but like
Because-
if you compare stats, if this becomes a statistic award,
the stat line
Lamar
MVP.
has 5 MVPs,
Yeah.
maybe 6. And I make the same argument with baseball. Bonds was robbed of like 4 or 5 MVPs in situations where it's just like his stats dwarfed the next fucking guy. But they don't want to, you know.
It can't be the Barry Bonds Award.
It's
Yeah.
the writers, man. Like, imagine that we let Poker News decide who the best player on tour is every year. You know, it's like at some point they're just gonna be like, "Fuck this Chidwick guy." It's like, you know,
We can't have the same guy win every year.
right? But instead, we don't let Poker News vote. We just look at the Hendon mob and say, "Who did the best this year? You get a trophy." And it's like,
If that's actually the metric, that's pretty fucking stupid.
what?
Like, if someone just has the best numbers, then that's your winner.
Right?
I just,
so
regardless
clear.
of it pissing people off.
It's
like,
so clear, Guapo. You make too much sense.
I don't know about
It's weird. I think it's weird-ish in the sense of like some stats aren't as important, which
Well,
is fair.
Well, what makes it weird? That
You see what I'm
point,
saying?
that-
Like
that-
Mahomes threw for 300 yards.
Yeah, no, that point is very valid. What you're saying is very valid. The secondary point of that is also stats don't translate. So this isn't necessarily like baseball where you can just look at a hitter as a blanketed thing, right? And then your toughest comparison is like, okay, the guy who's going to win the Cy Young this year, is he potentially more valuable than the leading hitter in the league? In football, it's tough because like there's a strong argument for Saquon to have been in MVP contention at a bare minimum.
So I have a question. If you put Lamar on, let's say, Tennessee this year, right?
Sure.
They don't make the playoffs.
I think they do.
I think they do.
They don't make the playoffs, let's just say.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Sure.
Do you think he should be MVP with his stats?
Yes. Yeah, it's not clear. I don't see why you have to win.
If he
That's-
if he didn't get MVP with the stats he had and didn't make the playoffs,
That
something
would
is
be-
wrong with the Titans.
that would be something I would
Something is
disagree
wrong
with.
Yeah, that's it.
I
You're
would-
saying he has these exact same stats?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If that's not a 10-win team, then something broke.
And he should be on a team where he could be the MVP.
They should probably line him up at safety also because it sounds like the defense is pretty fucked.
Yeah,
Isn't this sort of the same argument with Marino? Because didn't Dan Marino have a great career,
Never won
but
a
just
Super Bowl.
never won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, to some degree. It's like you would never
But he's in the
ever-
Hall of Fame.
You would never think he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer
Like Eli?
like Eli.
Can't believe you
Who
guys
won 2
fucking
Super Bowls.
screwed.
I can't believe we're still talking about this. We have 15 minutes left in the show. This was supposed to be a robbery. I'm so sorry to the audience. I apologize completely. Fortunately, this rate conversation shouldn't take up too much time today. It's a conversation that I do want to revisit somewhere down the line in the future. Hopefully with people who are a little bit more entrenched in this area. Maybe get like a Patrick Howard involved, or potentially even an operator if somebody's willing to come out and speak about how the inner workings of this happen on the operator side. But I wanted to breach the conversation in general because in our Discord channel, there was a lot of chatter based off of Club WPT Gold releasing their rake structure. I would meme on the name, but we don't have time. And you know, essentially, I think a lot of people are waiting with bated breath for this rake structure to come out because people are really, really hopeful that gold is somehow going to save the U.S. market. And based off of the early indication, it appears as though all hope might be lost. So gold has released their rake structure, and it appears that, like, if you're playing low stakes, you're probably doing okay. But once you get to... So these are 3 blind games, to be fair.
What consists of low stakes, Matt? All the way up to what, 100 NL?
Yeah, I would say 100 NL, maybe 200 NL. It's not very clear to me. But shout out to Jason from our Discord channel. So he broke this down in this spreadsheet here. And actually, Guap, if you go back to the actual the WPT rake structure, I believe
Is it this one?
No, that is for GG and Stars.
Okay.
It's an older link from here. I'll resend it. There you go. This actually breaks it down based off of stake level as far as what it looks like. This is the entire rake table. So scroll past the gold part. This is just the play money. So for those who aren't aware, it's a sweeps site similar to Global Poker. The gold coins just represent play money. The sweep coins are the ones that you actually purchase. And as you can see, they're all 3 blind games. So as well as, I think they have an ante in every game. Is that correct? Yeah. Wait, is it correct? Yes. So it's 3 blinds with an ante, which, by the way,
That's a lot.
really love that.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, it's really great. So it's a small blind ante, it appears. But I can't tell if it is per person or if it is just in general. So, like, I'm looking at the structure. It's like 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent with a 2 cent ante. I'm not sure if that's per person or if it is.
I mean, it's online, so it should be per person, right?
That would be a really big fucking ante.
That would be, though, yeah.
That'd be a massive ante.
Yeah.
It'd be like a 4 big blind ante.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, that's not really the biggest point here. What we're trying to get to the bottom of is what the actual rake is. So if you scroll a little bit to the right, it will show you the rake structure. And it's 4% across the board with varying caps. So the the lower stakes, which will be like, I guess the micros are like the first 3, and then the next 3 lines are considered low stakes. Although I wouldn't consider 1, 2, 4 to be low stakes. I mean, that's like 400 NL. That's definitely getting into the mid high. Actually, I would just relabel all of these. I would call the micros low, the low mid, and the mid high. They don't run anything above 1020, and to call it 1020 or 5-10-20 mid stakes is like insane.
Yeah, online.
So let's just like rephrase, I guess. Low stakes is very beatable. So we're talking like up to, I guess it would be like 40 NL is what their lowest stake. There's a big jump too. So it goes from 40 NL to 100 NL because of the straddle. Not that big of a jump. Usually it's 50 NL to 100 NL. So it's like, you know, somewhat comparable. But at 40 NL, the cap is 1.5 straddles when heads up. And then whenever you start to look at what it is closer to full ring, it looks like it is 3 straddles. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. And then whenever you move up to what would effectively be 100 NL, that's actually still quite beatable as well. It's only 2 straddles whenever you're at the full ring cap. But it seems as though there's like a giant jump then from, if I'm looking at this correctly, from 248, which is an $8 cap, to 3612, which becomes a $12 cap, and then 51020 becomes a $20 cap. Wait, is it 51020? Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, maybe that's not that bad. I mean, it's one big blind. It's actually less at 51020 than any of the other stakes. So you do get kind of a break at those stakes at that point. But at the same token, like a one big blind rake structure is tough to overcome as stakes increase. Usually as stakes increase, you get a pretty big rake discount. Like, so think about live at 1-2 no limit, you're paying like $7, which is like 3.5 big blinds. Yeah. So basically unbeatable. Then you move to like 2-5 and you're still paying $7. So now you're down to like 1.5 big blinds. And if it's a raked 5-10 game, it still stays $7. So now you're paying like 70% of a big blind. Mm-hmm. And usually, to my understanding, that's the way online rake tends to work. So if you go back now to that that breakdown that Jason provided us in the graphic, this is the comparison to what's currently available at Global, the other sweepstakes.
Is this the right asset, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the other sweepstakes. So basically, he's taking the big blind of Global compared to the straddle of WPT Gold, trying to make it 1-to-1 as closely as possible. And you can see that like the Global rake percentage is slightly higher, as well as
it's 5%, right?
Yeah. So it's 5%, and it's kind of the exact inverse. The lower stake games in global poker, actually no, it's only true at the first 2 low stakes games. So this is at 50 NL and then 100 NL. If you're comparing those two, you're paying way less rake at WPT Gold, right? So you're paying 1.2 and 2 compared to 3 and 3.5. But then there's a steep drop off once you get to 200 NL and beyond. So at 200 NL, you're paying 4 compared to 3.5. And then as you get up to 500 NL or 400 NL on global, you're paying 8 compared to 4. And then, you know, you start to see it's difficult to kind of like compare because they have 510 compared to like 3612. But you can see that it's like a steep incline, right? Like there's no rake break as you go up in stakes. So you're paying $12 at 3612, where you're only paying $4.50 at 510 on global. Then you're paying $20 at 51020, where you're only paying $5.50 at 1020 on global poker. So this is something that obviously makes mid to high stakes completely unbeatable in an online environment. The rake is just far too high. Now, what we don't know in WPT Gold's defense is what their rake back structure will be. Currently, there isn't one. So as it stands, totally unbeatable once you get beyond, I would say, like 100 NL, where you're paying $2 in rake. That's very beatable. Maybe even 200 NL, you're paying $4 in rake compared to $3.50. So probably still beatable. But once you get to 400 NL, which would be their 1-2-4 game, you're now paying like $8 a rake compared to $4 in rake at the 2-5 game on global. Like you just can't overcome that delta. No.
Even if you're the MVP.
Well, it depends what team you're playing for, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know, we can compare this to some of the other sites. Like, so I want to stick with just the American sites for now. Jump off of this one to the WSOP. I sent you a link for it. So like by comparison, at 2.5 on WSOP, you're paying $3 max rake, which is even less than what you're paying on global. And WSOP has a really great rewards program. They give a lot of rake back. So not to rub people's nose that don't have regulated poker, but you can see that in regulated environments, it's significantly cheaper. As you go up in stakes, 10-20, you pay a max of $3.50. 25.50, which is now larger than any stakes available on these two sites. You're paying $4.50, and that becomes the cap all the way up to 100, 200, where it's now increased to $5. So you can just see that like it's abundantly clear that the Rake is beatable. They also give you a huge break in their heads up games. So for $2, $4, you're paying a max rake of $1. Same at 5.10. 25.50, you're paying a max of $2.25 in heads up. So this is the template that everybody who plays online would beg for. Not only are you getting a rake reduction by comparison to other sites, you're also getting a tremendous amount of rake back if you're a loyal customer. I'm not sure what it works out to, but I think like if you're a high volume player who gets close to peak, I believe I've heard numbers around 33% getting kicked around of rake back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which means that like you're paying cents on the dollar compared to a lot of these other sites. Now I know Global does have a rake back program, but I'm not sure exactly what it is or how aggressive it is.
We're talking about WPT Global?
No,
or are we talking about
when I say
poker?
global, I mean global poker.
Okay.
For WPT Gold, currently there isn't a rake back structure. And then just for the sake of giving him a shout out because he did a lot of work, Patrick Howard has a tweet that kind of breaks down the difference between GG Rake versus Stars Rake. Now this is done in a little bit different way. This is the big blinds per 100, so this is considering things like this is basically converting from dollars into the big blinds per, and you can see that like of course Stars is able to be competitive with Rake as they always have been. I think that this is probably considering also Rake back, but it's kind of fuzzy because I don't know that we know for sure what GG's Rake back program is. I think that their whole thing is they give more back to losers than they do to winners. You should have this tweet, by the way.
Is it Mobius?
Yeah. So it breaks down that at 200 NL Stars, you're basically able to earn 2.4 big blinds per 100. This is the win rate. So this is post rake. Whereas at GG, the regs are actually losing 3.4. Same, pretty consistent across the board for 500 NL. And then I think that Reddit post that I had sent you also gives a bit of a breakdown as far as it's just repeating what Patrick said. So yeah, I don't actually have the exact rake structure on hand for either, but Stars is obviously a lot less, and they're very transparent with their rake back program, whereas GG has basically just come out and said like we compensate the losers, and this is the divide that online poker is going down right now, where it's a question of do we basically create a casino that offers loss back to its best customers, or do we create a card house that is compensating its highest volume customers? And Stars is still very much under the model of we're a card house that compensates our highest volume customers that are game starters, etc. Whereas GG is very much going down the path of we're an online casino that's offering loss back to our biggest VIPs. I'm not so sure that from a business standpoint we can really qualify which one's better. I don't know. I'm not running a poker room, and if you're just in a bottom line type of business, my instincts say that GG's model might be slightly better. It's unclear what the sustainability of all that is, but we do know from a player's perspective who are trying to also make a living off of this, Stars' model is tried and true. The retention model of it is much higher because you keep people from going broke and you ensure that games do run. But like when you're in the position that GG's in, where you're the biggest site in the world, you don't need retention. That's
Give it a shot.
Yeah, you have a natural acquisition funnel.
In your opinion, what is, so you said basically 1-2-4 is unbeatable due to rake, right?
It's getting close. If not at that level, it certainly becomes unbeatable at like the 6-12 level.
And
3-6-12.
what would make that beatable? Like what?
Rake back.
but like what numbers, like how much would be max rake basically?
Oh, that I'm unsure of. That's a great question, and that's where I think it would be important to have somebody like Patrick on, who's a lot more entrenched in this and has done a lot of prime dope calcs, where you can determine exactly what the break-even point is versus rake, or like what win rate is necessary in order to beat the rake. Like, look, a lot of these rakes could potentially be beatable, and this would be the argument that I'm sure Club WPT Gold would make, and maybe WPT Global, who also has like a really fucking aggressive rake structure. They would say like, well, we're offering you a super soft pool, and because everybody's so bad, you can obviously overcome this tax. It's like that actually may be true in the short term, but eventually the pool will filter out.
That's kind of what happened at Global on high stakes.
Well, it was intentional. What Global's doing is segregating their pools. So they are trying to match. They basically play matchmaker and try to put like-skilled people together.
Sorry, that's WPT Global you're talking about.
Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry, you were talking about
Global
Global
Poker.
Poker.
Talking about Global Poker.
Right. Global Poker is not as aggressive with the rake by comparison, and they offer rake back. So if that happened there, then Club WPT Gold is surely going to have the same issue where their liquidity dries up fast, right? You can't overly tax a pool and say like, well, we're offering you the softest games in America, because it's like eventually like the soft spots go broke and the weakest regs go broke because they can't beat the rake. Like very quickly, they become the fish, and you just pull the rug out from underneath. So, we're still waiting to see. They're still in beta as far as I understand. So we're still kind of waiting to see what the final rollout will be. Most people can't even play yet. You had to have signed up under like a handful of ambassadors to even be able
Conrad.
to Not Conrad.
Not Conrad.
Never Conrad.
Use code Conrad, your folks.
Yeah.
Next week, spam.
But yeah, apologies for not spending more time on this, but to be totally transparent, I only know what I'm able to read. Like, I'm not really entrenched in the online rake streets, and I'm not spending a lot of time crunching numbers. So we'll leave that conversation a little bit more for an expert. Hopefully we'll be able to get Patrick on here at some point, as well as, like I said, I would love to have an operator come on, even if it's Galfon, maybe from the standpoint of like what he tried to do at Run It Once whenever they were operating. And I do believe they're still currently operating under
Bet Rivers.
Yeah.
And Pennsylvania? Yeah, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to see like what their rake structure is, what their plans are. Maybe we'll try to get them on in the future, open up this conversation a little bit further. But as it stands, shop around, team. Be sure that when you're being loyal to a site, they're not raking you over the coals. That's going to do it for us today. We're going to get out of here. We'll be back here noon tomorrow. As always, be sure to let us know in the comments what you think MVP stands for and who your most valuable player was this year. If you don't say me, I don't know what's going on here. That's going to do it. We'll see you guys all tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace.